Yo, what's up everyone? Alright, it has been a week since episode Aigis first released, and with it came a lot of new features that spice up the gameplay. But today I want to talk about equipment. Equipment in episode Aigis got massively overhauled thanks to the introduction of Monad exclusive equipment.
Let's go gambling!
It is indeed a bit of gambling because sometimes you need to reroll to even get the equipment you would like. So that's why, before I get into what I consider to be the best equipment for everyone, I will show a list of where you can get each type of Monad equipment, items, etc. Here's also a list of where you can find each type of gem, because most equipment of the antique shop requires you to, well, find some of them. Now then, let's get into the best equipment. I want to start off with Yukari. In my opinion, her best equipment is really straightforward. First off, her best weapon is the Quintessence bow. But for a close second place, I'd say it's the Bow of Anguish, the one with the wind boost effect to be more precise. Armor and shoes don't really have that big of an impact on Yukari's performance. But I like running the Fallen Noble armor for Unshaken Will, as well as the Shoes of Eminence with Invigorate 3 to complement her low SP healing trait. For the accessory, I like either Wind Boost or Auto Concentrate, pretty much whatever matches your weapon best. Well, let's move on to Junpei. Junpei is definitely more interesting to talk about. While his kit is mainly the same, he has a wider pool of weapons now. And that really affects how he plays out, because now he can get weapons such as the Slash Boost one a lot earlier than he could in the journey. Anyhow, I'd say he has mainly 3 choices now. First off, my personal preference would be the Up Pupil sword. There's actually 2 swords with this same effect. The first one is the Sword of Heresy, and the second one is Masakado's Katana. Then, there are the Slash Boost swords. First, we have the Sword of Anguish. And later, we will gain access to the Dojigiri Yasutsuna. But that's just the same old. With the introduction of Monad equipment, we also get access to the brand new Auto Charge sword. And while you will be sacrificing long-term damage, it's really good for mob clearing as well as Reaper clearing. Armor really doesn't matter that much, it's really up to preference. But for me personally, I like using the Enduring Soul armor with Junpei. For his shoes, I think it's a no-brainer. The Dragon Boots help increase his crit rate a lot. And for the accessory, you should 100% go for the Nandaka Bracers, just for more damage. But yeah, Junpei crits go brrrr. Now, let's go to Aki. My boy Akihiko is in the same situation as Yukari. His build is virtually identical to his journey counterpart. And as for equipment, he didn't get anything new either. So I will quickly just go over what his best equipment is. Starting off with his weapon. You guessed it, it's the trusty old Double Six. That extra damage is always welcome. For his armor, well, same as everyone else, it's really up to preference. But me, I run the Enduring Soul armor, just as a safety net. For his shoes, it mainly depends if you want more damage or more crits, so my options are either the Dragon Boots for extra crit rate, or the Hollow Boots for extra damage after a shift. For his accessory, as some of you already guessed, it's still the Strike Bracers. As I already mentioned before, the extra damage is really always welcomed. So yeah, that was Akihiko. He is a basic guy who hits hard. Now then, let's move on to Mitsuru. Time for everyone's favorite girl failure, Mitsuru. I am actually really excited to talk about her. In episode Aigis, she received a small change that pretty much changes everything for late game. And that is the fact that now she learns Vorpal Blade at level 79. But still, Vorpal Blade. And not only does she now get Vorpal Blade, but she can actually make use of it thanks to the new Monad equipment. So I would say episode Aigis Mitsuru actually has 2 complete sets of optimal equipment now. One for Slash and one for Ice. Alright, so as for her weapons, if you wanna build around Vorpal Blade, there is the brandly new Rapier of Treason. The damage boosting weapons are gonna be a constant here. So, the same applies for her ice weapon, which is the Kokuseki Senjin. Up next is her armor. Yada yada, it doesn't matter much, I like Unshaken Will. Her shoes, on the other hand, can be a little more interesting. If you're going for the slash, I would suggest the Socks of Heresy for more crit rate. But if you want the more conventional approach of using ice, she has a free slot pretty much, so I like the Shoes of Eminence with Enduring Soul. And finally, for the accessory, if you want slash damage, you want the Nandaka Bracers, or if you want ice damage, you want the Barna Bracers. So yeah, that's pretty much it for Mitsuru. Now Ken. Okay, so Ken. Ken is the other character that I would say got a bit of a glow up in episode Aigis. But contrary to Mitsuru, his glow up matters for more than just late game. Ken now learns a few new Pierce moves. And I think this is a given, but physical skills in Reload are really good. But he didn't only get those Pierce moves, now he has new Monad equipment to pair them with. So same deal as Mitsuru, I would say Ken now has two different optimal sets of equipment. Starting off with his weapons. If you wanna take advantage of the new Pierce moves, I suggest running the Spear of Betrayal with Pierce Boost. But if you want a more conventional approach, you have two new options as well. First, we have the Spear of Eminence with Auto Concentrate, but you can also use the Spear of Anguish for that extra light damage. For his armor, same deal as usual, it's up to preference, but I like Unshaken Will for Ken, because at the end of the day, he's a support first and a damage dealer second. As for his shoes, if you want to make the most out of his new Pierce moves, I suggest the Dragon Boots, because, you know, crit rate and stuff. There's also the Enduring Soul shoes, which I think are pretty okay for him. And for the accessory, it's pretty much the same as Yukari, whatever matches your weapon best. It can be Pierce Amp, Light Amp, or Auto Concentrate. Finally, we arrive at the Koromaru segment. Koromaru, in the answer, sadly lost his best offensive move, Getsue. But he has a lot of new Monad equipment that is really cool, so I will show that. First off, his weapon. It's really straightforward. You pretty much just want to get slash boost in there, and he has two options for that. The de facto best option is probably the Blade of Eminence, and it's pretty much the same as the Blade of Treason but with more power. So long story short, you just want slash boost. He also gets a lot of new armor, but what I consider to be the best armor for Koromaru is probably the Suit of Heresy with Auto Charge. But that's honestly debatable, since he also gets another amazing armor being Apt Pupil. So again, you can choose between more raw damage or more crit potential. He also has a third option if you feel like playing safe, which is the Null Light armor. But I only recommend that one if you know for a fact that the enemy is gonna use light. I'd say it's something about shoes, but you know, Koro doesn't have shoes. So yeah, accessory time I guess. And the clear answer is the Nandaka Bracers for more damage. But yeah, Koromaru equipment is kinda straightforward, but the new armors are cool, so I'd take it. Y'all already know who is next. And yeah, Metis probably has the most exciting equipment out of all party members, and you'll see why in a bit. First off, since she's the new character, I am obligated to show you her entire build. And yeah, as you can tell, it's a mixture of the old Aigis and Shinjiro, pretty much taking the best from both worlds. Equipment-wise, she's probably the most customizable party member. So let's start with her weapons. First off, what I consider to be her best weapon, it's Corpse Rod, the one with Auto Charge. Another notable mention is the Axe of Anguish with Shift Boost. And yeah, I know it's not a Strike Amp or Strike Boost, but I'll get there. There's also a third contender, but this one I consider to be the worst. It is the Golden Crusher with Strike Amp. And the reason why I consider the Golden Crusher to be the weakest contender relates to the rest of her equipment. First off, her uncontested top 1 armor is the Torso of Treason, the one with Strike Boost. And yes, you heard that right, an armor piece with damage boosters. Now, for her best shoes, they are definitely the pit of eminence, the one with strike amp. Yes, strike amp. And since her accessory is pretty much a free slot, I chose the Omega Drive for Up Pupil. Jesus, this character is so broken! And well, I wanted to leave Aigis for last. If you thought Metis equipment was funny, you better see this. I will do this section a bit differently, because Aigis really depends on how you build your personas and what skills you select for them. Let's start with her weapons. First off, I think the best two weapons Aigis has are either the Mechatronius with Arms Master, or the Canonade Eminence with Magic Ability. Her armor, it's really subjective, but here's a few options of which I consider to be the best. In my opinion, I always personally run the Null Ailments or Auto-Concentrate one. Fortunately, her shoe selection is a lot more simple. In my opinion, her best shoes are the Legs of Heresy with firm stance. But as a close second place, we also have the Shift Boost shoes from the Antique Shop. And for the accessory, I usually say Omnipotent Orb, but there's an Auto Charge one, and I've been really liking it because everything dies first. So yeah, that one. Also, before I forget, for Fuka, just try to raise her SP and give her a Spellmaster. It will do wonders. Of course I wouldn't forget about Joker. My friend Legendary7 is trying to make a guide on how to beat Joker on Heartless. So, I thought I would lend him a hand and teaching you guys pretty much which is the best equipment for that fight. First of all, I'm just gonna be covering the party members in his guide, because unfortunately, some party members are really bad matchups against Joker. I am also going to show a list of the Joker's fight rules because you guys are asking a lot for it, so here, have them. Good luck. I will not go in depth into them because, well, that's what the guide is for, so please go check it out if you are interested in beating Joker Heartless. With that out of the way, let's get into the equipment. First off, the most ideal party members for this fighting Heartless are Junpei, Akihiko, Mitsuru, and Ken. Yeah, that's one wacky squad, I know, but it is what it is. So, first off, the thing they all share is that they are all gonna be using the Armor of Light and the Shoes of Eminence with Enduring Soul. That is mainly due to the fact that Joker loves using elemental attacks, and it's most likely that he is gonna trigger that Enduring Soul at some point. As you probably saw in the list, Joker in Heartless can be critted, so magic has the edge for once in its life. And that naturally means, if the party member has a weapon that raises magic damage, that's probably gonna be their go-to pick. Except for Akihiko, since he has both Elec Amp and Boost built in. So, you can use the Fist of Treasons to completely negate his ice weakness. Aigis wants the insta-heal armor purely for safety. That's it. Speaking of safety, the firm stance shoes are great for tanking damage with Aigis, so bring those. For Akihiko, this most likely won't trigger, but just in case, bring Endure. And finally, Firm Stand for Ken is huge because it means you won't have to max his HP. Another thing party members will have in common, specifically Junpei and Mitsuru, is that they will have to bring their elemental weapon and elemental accessory to maximize damage. But yeah, that's pretty much all the equipment you will need for the Joker fight. And with that, we are done. Again, thanks a lot for the recent support, it means a lot to me. Like and subscribe if you like the vid, and I'll see you guys in the next one.